Well, what a way to start the 2022 Formula One season. An insane race that had pretty much everything you want in Formula One. Good wheel-to-wheel racing, bit of jeopardy, bit of chaos, reliability issues, as always there is the case in a season opener. Some really decent racing all the way down through, some good feel stories, and some not so much good feel stories for certain teams. Wow, what a race. This is going to be a raw reaction video, so kind of just literally talking to the camera to you guys about this race and my thoughts. And also I want to let you guys know that I'm launching a brand new channel. Check the link on the top line of the description. It's going to be exclusively for IRL F1 content. So I'm making this video right now on the aarava channel, but from now on, I'll be posting videos like this and other short form content on that channel, all to do with IRL F1. So I do a lot of gaming on this channel, and I've scaled back really how much IRL based content I make on this channel in the last couple of years. So if you ever wanted me to get back into that kind of content and hear what I think of these races week to week, then get subscribed to that channel. But let's get into this. Let's react to this race. And oh my days. Well, let's go through the top 10. Leclerc, Sainz, Hamilton, Russell, Magnussen, Bottas, Ocon, Tsunoda, Alonso, Guan Yu Zhou. Debut points for the Chinese driver. That's a madness. But let's go through what happened in that race. Let's start off with the Ferraris. Really good at the very start. You know, Leclerc got into the lead. The Ferrari looked so comfortable that entire race. Was so good on traction, I was noticing, off the corners. Red Bull actually technically were faster in a straight line. They're running a little bit lower wing than the Ferrari team, but the fact that Ferrari had such good pickup on acceleration was so good, especially on the pit stops. You saw Leclerc, unlike Hamilton, wasn't struggling as much on the colder tyres. We have new rules this year for the tyre warm-ups, how long they're allowed to put the blankets on the car, so I think that's definitely affecting things and making the undercut seem really powerful. We saw that both times. Verstappen was very, very close to Leclerc. He even got pissed off at Red Bull telling him to slow down on the outlap the second time because they thought they would have caught them. But if we're talking about negatives from that race, obviously Verstappen had much more to go. Red Bull double, they're saying, according to their Twitter, they're saying it was a double fuel pump issue. So both drivers, they think it was the fuel pump that went. So that's a big issue because they were solid. That was going to be a 2-4 for them. Not bad, really, all things considered. And it's now ended up being a double no points finish. So that's a big thing Red Bull are going to have to look into. Reliability, we thought was pretty bulletproof until that ghastly fire. So, that's going to be a concern for them. And the fact that also one of the other Honda-powered cars had an overheating issue, that's a little bit, they may have a solid engine in terms of performance, but if there's some reliability with the packaging or whatnot, because Gasly's car caught fire on the back, and then this issue here, that's going to be certainly a question mark for the whole of the Honda power teams, AlphaTauri and Red Bull included, and that's just not obviously the way Red Bull, the reigning world champion, Verstappen, would want to start his season. That is just mental, but it also meant that Hamilton was able to get a podium. Of course, inevitable. Hamilton's always there, and I think consistency is going to be a big thing this season, especially with, if we get racing like this where it's topsy-turvy, things, last minute can change the race, or just, some good infighting, potential for incidents. I think consistency is going to be very, very key, and I think that's what I noted in my predictions video. If Hamilton is consistent and Merc on top of the car, maybe they will be there at the end of the season, but right now, it is all playing for Ferrari. But let's look down the grid. Bottas, horrendous start. He went from Bottas 9.0 in qualifying to Bottas back to like 1.0 at the start there. That was really frustrating to see because, we did so well to be alongside Hamilton on that grid. I guess, Alpha clearly showing that, the race pace is maybe not exactly the same as the quali pace. Or maybe, the other teams, it came towards them in the race more so than Alpha. But Bottas still got P6. That is really, really big for him. And Guan Yu Zhou. Amazing. Debut points. I counted him out in my predictions, and fair play to the guy. He's actually pulled through and got his first points in Formula 1 ahead of Mick Schumacher in P11. Frustrating for him. That was, although you should admit, amazing 360 spin he did earlier in the race. That was that was actually very, very cool. Cool stuff from him. But P11, he'll be a little bit annoyed because Magnussen, on his return to Formula 1, K-Mag, take a bow. Take an absolute bow. This man was out of Formula 1. He only got that one last test done. New era, slightly different cars to what he drove, but he said he was actually quite, used to it straight away in testing. And it shows. It shows he wasn't lying that, he was very, very used to it and he was feeling comfortable because P5, when you debut back into the team, is so, so good. Very, very good stuff from K-Mag. I'm so happy. That's such a good feel story. I think everyone can get behind. And then we've got, well, let's talk about Mercedes. Like I said, Hamilton, that shot podium. Russell, bit of a quiet race from him. Clearly, the car isn't even there. So, to be fair, if it wasn't for Perez having the fuel pump issue, you would have said Hamilton was also having a quiet race. Both Mercs just had a quiet race. They still have a lot of homework to do, but with no reliability issues, they still outscored Red Bull by a fair amount. So, I know, yeah, obviously in the next race, if Red Bull are fine, then sure, Red Bull would be back scoring more points than Merc, I'm sure, next race. But this is, in a race, in a season like last season where it went down to the wire, and you're hoping this season will do the same with how close the cars are now as well through the whole grid, racing. It was hard to tell. I'll speak about that a little bit later about the general racing, but, it shows that consistency is really, really important. So the fact that Merc got a 3rd and 4th on the board is, I think, massive for them. They'll be really, really happy. Ocon P7, Tsunoda 8th and 9th for Alonso. Quiet races, for the Alpine guys. Just a lot better than I expected, though, to be fair to Alpine. I think I thought they were going to struggle a lot more in the race and that they would have better qualifying pace than the race pace. But no, the fact that Ocon came through from being knocked out early in qualifying to P7 shows that actually Alpine actually have some really decent pace to be right up there. But obviously they've got the Alphas and Hasses to now fight. And then, of course, we're going to just talk about other teams around the gaff. Obviously, wasn't a great day in the office for McLaren. Clearly struggling, a lot of legacy issues from just not having enough testing running in Bahrain because of their brake issue, and then the brake issue itself is only a temporary fix right now, so they need to get that sorted. But clearly they're lacking a lot of race pace and maybe just scratching their heads a little bit about where the pace is, or they're not understanding their car fully because of that lost time in testing. I'm sure, I'm confident they will come back through in the season, but I think it looks like the first few races are going to be a bit of a pain for McLaren, which was, yeah, obviously frustrating for myself, looking to see how Lando did, but you just have to get on with it. McLaren, they're a tough old team, resilient. They will come back through. Williams, quiet race for them. They really haven't made the step up we kind of hoped, or Williams fans, or just fans of wanting to see Williams back into F1 a bit with the fighting as much. And the same for, I must say, for Aston. I mean, Stroll P12, it's actually better than I thought he was going to do. Hulkenberg, you can't really knock him at all because he just got in the car. So P17 actually pretty solid to all things considered, to be fair. And that is the grid. Mad. Big winners obviously would be Mercedes. Big winners there in terms of getting 2 more places for free, 3rd and 4th. Obviously Ferrari, they are back now. The car actually looks great off acceleration. The race pace is there. Quali pace is there. They've just got to, strategy-wise, make sure they keep on doing what they're doing, because this race, it was perfect. There was no real misstep by Ferrari of any count, and in every kind of area, their car looked good. Like tyre wear, there wasn't really any complaints. Acceleration off the corners. Straight line, maybe a little bit, but that's because Red Bull have intentionally run with lower wings. Like I mentioned, you see the other Ferrari-powered cars, Haas, Alfa Romeo, clearly the Ferrari power unit for this year, and remember, for till 2025 now, because the engines are frozen, is a solid update and is going to take them through for the next couple of years. That's massive because clearly Haas and Alfa are benefits of that. Ferrari looks like they've compromised. They've run more downforce because of their better engine, but it's meant they've got such a well-balanced car for the corners and just enough in the straights to keep it going. And obviously Leclerc v Verstappen was so juicy. You had the big dive for Verstappen. Leclerc coming back at him though, holding his own, keeping cool. I thought there was going to be a crash or some kind of major contact, but to be fair to them, they kept it pretty damn clean. Very close, but very clean as well. And yeah, kudos to both drivers. And if that's, forget Red Bull having the fuel pump issue. Before that, if that's what the season's going to look like, we're in for a banger season. I want Leclerc v Verstappen the whole season. Get Sainz stuck in there as well, hopefully as well. Maybe the Mercs come back through. It's going to be really great. I think looking back behind those 3 teams, you've got, Haas and Alfa. That's such a solid foundation to build on. So if they can just solidify this, not lose performance to other teams maybe behind them, and continue to bring updates, I think Haas and Alfa, they're going to be laughing this season. They're going to have a really fun season of consistent points finishes, hopefully. You know, the fact that, you know, both alphas are in the points and just about nearly maybe both asses could have been in there is a big statement. And obviously, unfortunately for other teams like Aston, McLaren and Williams, you know, it's a very tight, there's no real backmarkers per se, really, apart from, you know, at points it did look like McLaren looked very slow, but I think, like I said, it's their testing stuff, so it's very close in all those things. So I think even behind the front fight, the whole season is going to be really exciting. In terms of the general racing, let's talk about if this new era seems like it's going to be better racing. I think it's hard to tell for Bahrain, because Bahrain is a very difficult track to overtake at and follow at, especially in the middle sector. But I think generally you saw cars being able to follow closer for longer. I think the Verstappen-Leclerc battle went on for 4 laps. I reckon last year that would have only lasted 2 laps because of dirty air and overheating more like as well behind the car. Obviously the hot, dirty air being an issue, and they would have had to fall back and do it. So I think there was a slight, you know, you could see glimpses. I think we'll really see it other circuits where it's maybe, you know, a bit more encouraging to overtake. But I did notice that cars were at least closer together. Maybe not necessarily going for the overtake, but they can follow closer, which is exactly what you're trying to do. And then it's on them, obviously, in car pace of actually overtaking, because you know, there's no point having a slower car just following and able to overtake because of the regulations. Obviously, if you're a quicker car, you deserve to be ahead in the race. So it was good in that regard. You know, even like Bottas, there was at one point where he was struggling to overtake, I think, an AlphaTauri, but I actually thought if you had Verstappen in that same position, he would have gone for the move. So there's ultimate discrepancy of driver to driver when they were making moves. So I think in general, this new era does seem like they have, you know, gone in the right direction when it comes to actual pure racing and following different cars. But as a final closing thing, well, one of the prettiest cars on the grid is also the fastest car on the grid, it seems, in quali and race spec. Ferrari are back. Leclerc with the win. Ferrari 1-2 as well. That's a big statement. Red Bull, massive question marks now of reliability, and if this is going to be a recurring issue in future races that need to absolutely fix. And just a great way to kick off the season. You know, we had some good wheel-to-wheels. We had a bit of chaos in terms of the end with shock surprises as well. And we just had generally good battles, some good fuel stories for teams like Haas and Alfa Romeo. And then vice versa, F1 also has to have some stories of, you know, teams not performing as well they wanted to. McLaren, Williams, Aston. So, you know, it had everything, a season opener for Formula One that you'd want and should have. So that has been my raw reaction to the 2022 F1 Bahrain Grand Prix. Like I said at the start of the video, check out the description down below and check out my brand new channel, which I will be posting more IRL based content where I'm just talking to camera, talking about the sport I love, the sport you guys love. So get subscribed over there. No gaming over there. It's purely going to be real life Formula One. So I really appreciate those of you who do want to maybe hear my opinions more often. And, you know, people have asked me in previous seasons about, you know, what I think about things, or I'm going to make a video about it. And I've kind of, you know, I have scaled back what I've been doing with real F1 in the last couple of years on this aarava channel. And I feel like I want to get back into doing a bit more IRL F1 based content, kind of sharing my opinion, getting a conversation going in the comments below. So check out that brand new channel, and there'll be a load of kind of, you know, first of all, I'm thinking kind of short form content posting over there, and then maybe in the future expanding to longer form content. But get subbed over there and you'll be seeing some content from me every single race, hopefully. But yeah, that's been my raw reaction. Let me know what you guys make of that race in the comments below. If you did enjoy it, hit the like button. Like I said, get subscribed to this channel and the new one down below. I've been aarava. Hope you enjoyed today. Goodbye.